We're back. Episode 3.
That's right.
Right, Levi? Back for episode 3.
Made it.
We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, busy day for sure.
So, yeah, we got some hockey to talk about. We got some Seahawks to talk about. We got a trade that just freaking happened in the NFL to talk about.
It's an interesting one too.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll get to that. But so how you been, Levi, since the last show? How you doing?
Yeah, it's been good. Sports news picking up this weekend for sure. Stafford is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams, so I think we have different opinions on what that means. But yeah, it's been good. It's,
Definitely.
Yeah, excited to be back and get right to it.
Is that a new hat you got on?
Oh, this is an old hat that I just busted out for the
It's an
show.
old one. Okay.
Yeah, this is my favorite hat.
You got the old. You got the old school Sonics flag. You got the mid '90s Sonics hat. I like it.
This is my favorite hat because I got this at a store in Seattle called Throwbacks Northwest. Some of you guys are probably familiar with it, but this is not a Mitchell & Ness hat. This is like authentic, old, vintage. So
that's the logo I remember. That's the '90s logo.
Exactly. You can buy like similar hats now at Simply Seattle. They're a good Twitter follow too. If you guys aren't familiar, we got all sorts of Sonics here.
Simply Seattle. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dig into this. And like I said, we're gonna talk Seahawks. We're gonna talk Kraken. We might even, if there's time, we might even mention Mariners. But we'll talk about the Mariners one of these episodes. But first thing I want to talk about, and I'm just gonna label it the elephant in the room, because we want to be a Seattle sports podcast. We would be pretty ignorant to not talk about the Chad Wheeler situation that came out this week, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. It seems like, I think it's important we bring it up too, because it's been, was that last weekend? What's it been, a week?
Yeah, I think it was. I think the news came out midweek.
Okay.
And I think it had happened last weekend. I think it was like last Saturday. I don't know the exact date, but yeah, I think it's been about a week since the actual incident happened.
It seemed like that got brushed under the rug real quick.
Yeah, about that. So I said the Seahawks kind of put out a statement, and I mean, for lack of a better term, I thought their statement was kind of shit. But they mentioned one thing about the victim. Basically, did the thoughts and prayers thing, and that was kind of it. So I thought the statement sucked. Everything I've read about it tries to talk about that it was a manic episode that he had, that he's on bipolar medication, or he was off of it, supposedly supposed to be on it. And I think there's zero excuse for what he did. What he did was wrong. It should not be tolerated, and there's no excuse for it. No matter what he had going on, there's no excuse for. Basically, it was attempted murder almost. Like, I mean, the chicks even said she thought he killed her. He, even said it like he was surprised she was alive. So it's wrong. We shouldn't even be looking at this situation and talking about him and his football career and all that. We should be talking about her, and we should be talking about domestic violence as a whole, and how big of an issue it is, and how big of an issue it is for women of color. I mean, it's uncomfortable to talk about, but women of color face domestic violence situations way more than other people, and it's wrong. Something needs to change. It needs to be out there that it's a problem, and something needs to be done about it. That's what I want to say about it.
Yeah, it's a really fucked up situation. I mean, you hear the details of it, and it's really gross and really sad. And honestly, it's really disturbing. And you saw the statement. You guys saw it that what's her name, Malia, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, the victim. The statement she put out was, it was chilling. Like, it was really, really weird to read because, I mean, the guy had no sense of,
No.
yeah, I mean, it's sociopathic, I think is the word. I think the state that, you know, I think what she said, his words were, oh, he was expressed that he was surprised that she was still even alive. Made a comment like, oh, you're still alive, while he was sipping on a smoothie. He was eating his dinner while she was, it's just, I mean, it's like something out of like a really fucked up movie, right?
Yeah,
So
it is.
yeah, I don't know. And I thought, you know, or a week and whatever, it's been a week and it seems like it got brushed under pretty quickly, if you ask me. There's not a lot of talk about it. And I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to say is, other than it's a really sad situation. It's really, stuff like that shouldn't happen. I was glad they moved on. He obviously doesn't have a place in football. Doesn't have a place in the NFL. Not someone that should ever be put up on a pedestal like that. And I don't know.
Yep.
I hope that the victim can heal up and move forward. But yeah, definitely saddened by that news.
Yeah, I'll finish up on it. Just I want to touch on two things. Just say that it was really, it showed a lot of bravery and courage for her to put out a statement, come forward and say what happened.
Yeah.
I hope other people in situations like that maybe can do the same thing so that they can have a better life going forward. And for him, there's always time for people to redeem themselves and, you know, come back. But I think we can say with all certainty that he should never play another down in the NFL.
Yeah, there's no need for it. You know, he's not the type of person that should be doing that. And I think it's tough when you hear stuff like this. I mean, you think the initial reaction is say stuff like, oh, that's so sad, I feel so bad. But I mean, when you really stop to think and, you know, put yourself in that situation and try to put yourself in that room, like, think how fucking scary that would be. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's an offensive lineman. What's he? Probably 6'4", pushing 300. I mean, that is a terrifying situation to be in. And
he's not a small guy.
No, I mean, and just the manicness that went with it, and the statement that he, you know, apparently said, and I mean, it's just such a fucked up situation to find yourself in. I mean, I can't imagine myself being in a situation like that. That's not something you wish on anyone. So I'm with you, man. Though, like, kudos to her. I mean, it does take a lot of bravery. She went right out there, put a statement out, posted a picture of what, you know, this is what it looks like, and I don't know what else to say about it. I really don't. So
yeah, we need more awareness to shit like this is happening way too often, and hopefully we can come together as a society and something can happen where this isn't normal to hear stories like this anymore.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, is how often does stuff like this happen and you never hear about it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things you can do throughout the day and throughout the week. Just in my own personal life, there's a lot of ways I can do better and encourage everyone to do the same. You know, it's been a fucked up year. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind throughout the week for sure. Just where can you do better?
Yeah, and you know, it'd be silly of us or stupid of us not to mention it. So that's good. We brought it up, and there we go. So we got a new segment, though, that we are going to unveil and that we're going to have reoccurring, not every episode, but we're going to have reoccurring because Levi and I both are not interested. We're both excited for the Kraken coming up to Seattle, for the NHL coming to Seattle. And we figured the best way for us to figure out learn hockey, is to have a new segment called "What Have You Learned About Hockey This Week?"
Hit the music.
And so, yeah, you know, the old ESPN, NHL and ESPN music that you have on the Sega video games playing now. That'd be perfect.
I don't. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky hockey, man. If you ever want to come over.
Yeah.
64. That's a whole other segment.
We could live stream that. Live stream that.
In that game, I'm not lying to you. I did not play, dude. I did not play.
It is on.
Yeah, I don't think you want.
It is on. So why don't you kick it off? What'd you learn in hockey this week?
Yeah, man. I actually I thought I was going to get a lot of things done this week, but the day I really planned on today being like my research day and really getting into it, but unfortunately I didn't get as much done as I thought. So I did learn a couple things, but I'm just saying the first thing I learned is that I don't know shit, man. I really, really don't. I know more about hockey probably in like the 2000 season than I do now. Um, and there's something I want to do right now. And this is going to fuck with you a little bit. And I'm going to have the advantage because I've had all day to think about it. But you should still be able to beat me. So, how many current NHL players can you name right now off the top of your head?
Oh my God. How many current NHL players can I name?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have 3 that I can think of, and I've been thinking about it all
And
fucking day.
hold on. Let me clarify. Can I name the same ones you name, or do they have to be separate?
You can name the same ones I am if you feel good about it.
Okay.
If you feel like that's fair, like, yeah, I would have thought of that name, then I got no problem with it.
Okay.
But I have 3 names, and I have 3.5 because I know someone's last name, but I couldn't tell you what position he plays or anything. So I almost just called Sidney Crosby Mason Crosby. So that's 1. Alex Ovechkin and TJ Oshie, the local guy.
Yeah.
Those are my 3. And I know there's a Lundqvist.
Yeah.
Henrik, maybe? I don't know.
I got 2 to add to that. You said the first 2, Crosby and Ovechkin, obviously.
Okay.
I know another Pittsburgh Penguin. I don't know if he's still in the league, but Evgeny Malkin was a Penguin too.
I'll look it up.
And
Denny, you said?
Evgeny with an E.
Oh, Ev. Oh, wow.
But I do know Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers. He's kind of like he was kind of like the Trevor Lawrence of hockey. Like, he's big time player, big time expectations and all that. And the other one, it's slipped PK Subban.
Oh, man.
Subban, yeah.
Yeah. If you would have given me him, damn it. I could have got that.
I don't remember what team he's on now, but I mean, other than that, like, I could name you 90s hockey's guys or early 2000s.
Yeah,
but
I can give you some early 2000s.
they're probably going to be all goaltenders.
Right. I actually so I grew up in Anchorage, obviously, and there's this local guy out there. His name's Scott Gomez, who had a pretty long NHL career, but we got into him one year when he was with the Devils in like I don't know, it was late 90s, early 2000s, and they won the Stanley Cup. So we watched some that year. But yeah, I don't know anything, man. Like, trying to get involved in it is really a challenge. And I'm thinking, like, how much it's going to suck. Because if the Seahawks get a new player or they have a draft class, like, what are you learning? 10 new names in the offseason? Right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the most.
At the most. We're going to have a whole new team to learn. And it's not like there's guys coming from the Rams and the Niners. It's names you've never heard. So it's a big adjustment. And one thing I found out this weekend is that there's not like an SB Nation blog site yet for the Kraken. So there's not a ton of resources out there. What I did is I pinned the NHL, and even Kraken.com is not the Seattle Kraken. It's like a cryptocurrency site. So there's not a lot.
I ran into that this week too.
Yeah. So I pinned NHL.com/Seattle to my homepage on my phone. And I watched a lot of videos on and I can't remember his name. The new play-by-play, or the inaugural play-by-play guy. I gotta look it up now. Hold on.
Yeah, I saw the announcement, but I couldn't say it if you asked.
Yeah, God, he was with the Carolina Hurricanes. Is that
Hurricanes.
Their name? Golly.
Yep.
Okay, I can't think of his name. John Forsland. So anyway, John Forsland. So I watched some videos with him. He had like an AMA on their website that he did. And he's pretty funny, and he came pretty highly regarded, I guess, but got cut out due to COVID. But he's got some good calls, man. He brings some energy. So I think he dyes his hair, maybe. I saw in one of the interviews. He looks like he's maybe it's not his natural shade he's rocking right now, but that's okay. But yeah, anyway. So my whole plan with how to learn hockey, and I told you about this, and I got to say I'm really disappointed with your opinion of it, but I went today and I picked up EA NHL 20, which we'll see. I got it for $30, and I was going to play today and take a take a franchise, because that's what I like doing in Madden and stuff. but I just didn't have time to do it. So instead, to kind of circle back around to the whole point of the segment, the thing I've always been confused in hockey is what the fuck is icing, right? Like where. So I think I actually got a pretty good grasp on what icing actually is now. So icing, you can basically not clear the puck across the red line and the opposing blue line, because it's a way to basically, if you're not supposed to like milk the clock if you're ahead, is kind of my understanding. If you're the shorthanded team on a power play, you are allowed to do it, so that's legal. Another exception to the rule is the goalie can call it off by basically touching the puck. He has to get it before it crosses the, I don't even know what color that back line is, but and one thing that I got cleared up is I always thought, because I've seen a couple hockey games, the goalie will sometimes like put his glove up or put his stick up. I always thought that meant he was like signaling to the refs, hey, don't call it. What he's doing there is actually signaling to his own team, hey, if they're going to call icing, he's up. So
Really, I did not know that.
yeah, that's what I learned. And anyone who's in the same struggle I have, you can go on YouTube and there's a kind of a subpar, I'd call it mediocre, but it is kind of funny, Hockey 101 with Snoop Dogg that the NHL put out a few years ago. It's not as funny as you would think. Like Snoop Dogg did you watch the Mike Tyson deal where Nate Robinson got knocked out? Did you watch any of that?
I did
So
not.
Snoop Dogg was really funny during that, like comedic, but it's a little more G-rated. It's not so funny. So
It's down to business.
I mean, I don't know about that. It just seems like they PG.
So yeah, he said he was gonna use NHL 2020. I just want to throw out there, I did not endorse that idea, but the only reason I don't endorse it is because I play Madden and I've won 4 straight Super Bowls with the Seahawks, and you don't see that happening in real life.
No,
so
but I mean, I might be able to learn more than 3 current players.
I hope
the questions I have are
playing
like,
on
what
that.
type of defense? It's clearly a zone defense that I want to equate it all to basketball, right? Even with the whole Kraken coming, my initial interest in anything Seattle Kraken was that it seemed like the clearest route for the Sonics to come back. Anyway, that's a sidebar. But I watched these games. I watched like 10 minutes of a replay on ESPN last night. So, and it's quick, man. It's happening. And it's kind of fun to follow the puck, but man, it comes quick. I have a lot of questions. I'd like to know.
My garage door just opened. That's odd.
Hopefully I'm not being robbed. I'm not sure who that could be.
Hey, you live in a great part of
We might have
you
a
live in a
cameo.
great part of town.
That's right.
You live in a great part of town, so yeah.
You might see a cameo appearance by my girlfriend here in a few minutes. I'll be ready for that. But where was I going with that? Sorry for the dead air. My garage door I just heard it randomly open and it scared the bejesus out of me. So I have a text. She's getting
You were talking about, how the game goes back and forth, but I was going to say I didn't pick this for what I learned this week, but I need to just learn what the positions are. Like, I don't know anything outside of goalie. Like, I don't know what the other guys on the ice are
two
even.
defensemen. There's a
See, I know
center, a
goalie,
left
that's
wing,
it.
and a right wing. That's not
Okay,
true, is it?
there we go. I mean, it sounds good enough to me, so I'm going to go with it.
I think I can name probably
I know
10 hockey players pre-2005.
Now, how about just out of the league now? It doesn't have to be, pre-2005.
Jeremy Roenick. I met him.
Jeremy
reaction.
Roenick.
I just told you I met Jeremy Roenick.
Okay.
Okay.
How did you meet him? You want to tell me that story?
No, it's all right. I'll have to save it.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to tell you if you're not interested, man. I don't see you saying that you met Jeremy Roenick.
I have not met Jeremy Roenick. I will admit that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, Jeremy Roenick. Patrick Waugh, also known as Patrick Roy, goalie for the
Colorado Avalanche.
Yep. Scott Gomez, there's 3. How about Gretzky, the great one, 4.
Yep.
God, who's the Pittsburgh Penguins guy? Mario Lemieux.
Lemieux. Yep.
Lemux. Who else we got?
I'm gonna throw one out there. I'm gonna tie a story to him that I think is true. But I mean, if I'm wrong and you're out there listening, be sure to tweet at us and tell me I'm wrong. But Eric Lindros used to play for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yes.
I want to say he came up at one point and played with the Seattle Thunderbirds. For some reason that's in my head. So please let me know if I'm wrong on that.
I'm going to let you know right now. Eric Lindros.
I want to say Mario Lemieux had ties to the Thunderbirds at one point too. So
boy, I don't know.
You have to look those up. I'm going to throw a couple other names out there for you.
I'm not seeing anything that's popping up on Google.
Okay.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
Paul Correa. That dude gets
Mighty
down
Ducks.
in Gretzky hockey. Yep. Yeah. Mighty Ducks.
How about Sergei Fedorov?
That's not a name I know.
And Steve Yzerman.
Who? Yager. He played with the Bruins, the really tall guy. I'm gonna look him up.
Yep, and he was played with the Penguins.
Did he?
His name was Yamir with a J.
Yeah, but it was Jagir, right?
Yeah, it was.
What's his name?
I remember that name. Brett
Jaromir Jagr. Who?
Brett Hull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brett Hull. There's a couple guys in the Avalanche I feel like I should remember. Peter Forsberg. Did we say it?
Yeah, Forsberg.
Yeah, Forsberg.
Yep.
I think there's a guy with the last name of Foot.
Did we say Brodeur? Martin
Brodeur.
Brodeur.
Yeah. New Jersey Devils.
Yep.
Yeah. Didn't the Bruins have a goalie that was around for a long time?
They did, but shit. Yep. Drawing a blank.
Here's something I need clarity on. So the playoffs come, and it's 8 versus 8. There's 8 teams from each conference, right?
Yes.
But do the seeds not matter, or am I making that up?
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up because you didn't. Anybody listening, we didn't tell each other what you learned about hockey this week was, but mine has to do with what the standings mean and how they go into making the playoff projections.
I bet I could complete this for you.
Okay, but I didn't know because we always see a hockey team record and there's like 4
Points.
numbers. There's like 4 different parts of it. And so I was like, what the hell does that mean? So just for anybody who doesn't know, the first one is wins. Well, actually, the first one at the very beginning will be games played.
GP.
And then it's wins, losses, overtime, or shootout losses at the end. And
Go ahead. Sorry.
And what they stand for is you get a win, you get 2 points. You lose, you get no points. You make it to overtime or shootout, and you lose, you still get 1 point.
Okay.
And all of your points are added up to your total points you have, and that's how they determine the top seeding in each conference, but it's based off the divisions. And this gets a little more complicated because they reshuffled their divisions just for this year because they're doing a special 56 game season because last season went long because of COVID and all that. So,
right.
But normally there's, 2 divisions in the West, 2 divisions in the East. You have the top 3 teams in each division based off their total points.
Okay.
Those are your top 6 seeds in the playoffs.
Okay.
And then your wild cards are the next 2 remaining teams with the most points based off that.
Okay.
And so they'll be seeded 1 through 8, and it's based off total points. So 1 will play 8. Whoever has the most points in the conference plays the team with the least points that is in the top 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So seeding does matter, but I mean, I think it's the real
Maybe
question.
I heard somewhere that and maybe someone's listening to this thinking like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. But I feel like heard someone say at one point that I had in my head that it didn't matter. So maybe I heard someone say like, it's just not as important or something. I don't know.
I think that's probably what it is because he's seeing like, I don't know if home ice really matters once you get
What's
it.
going to matter in Seattle?
It's you see in the playoffs, it seems like an 8 seed or a 7 seed in hockey has a better chance of going far in the playoffs than any other sports where there's 8 or 6 teams in there. So maybe that's what it is. But according to my research, number 1 plays 8 based off total points, and that's how home ice is declared.
Okay. How do you get to? I think the shootout seems interesting. So, what do you play? Do you know the answer to this? Maybe this could be our homework. Do you play 1 overtime period?
I think you play 1 overtime period. Yes.
Okay, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I got to get some names because I like the idea of this expansion draft. Let's go over a couple quick dates here. Oops.
Yeah, expansion draft. You want that one?
Hold on, I accidentally. You cannot minute. Okay, whatever. Okay, yeah,
so the first date after the season is July 17th, and that's the date that teams have to protect players from the expansion draft. And we should probably do some more research on this too.
Yeah, I know you can
protect a certain amount of players or something, but I don't know how you.
There's different rules too. Like I know one thing I read was that you can't, if someone had has a career-threatening injury, I don't know, something. And then there's also something to do with salary cap, I thought. Anyway, this is terrible radio. We got to figure the rules out a little bit better.
Hey, we said at the beginning, we do not know much about hockey. So it was thrown out there.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. Where was I going with that?
Expansion draft.
Yes, expansion draft. It'd be interesting. One thing I do remember is that they have to, basically there's rules in place so that you can't tank. Like the Kraken will have to, I can't remember what the number is, but basically they have to hit a certain amount there's a minimum of the salary cap they can hit. So it basically prevents them from tanking is kind of my understanding of the rule, which sucks. I'm still confused if we get a draft pick. I don't even know how the NHL amateur draft works. And I'll be interested to learn some names and kind of, because you saw the Knights, or the Golden Knights, excuse me. I mean, they Stanley Cup appearance their first year, And I feel like that puts pressure on us, man. Like
that puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Can you name the other teams in our division? Do you know what division we're in?
I just don't even know what division we're in, but I'm telling you, one of the teams will be the Canucks. The other team it's probably going to be the Kings and the Sharks down in California.
We're in the Pacific Division, like the Sonics were.
Vegas.
Vegas is in it. Yeah.
I'd say probably it might include Minnesota, and it might include Calgary.
I think Calgary or
yeah. See, I tried to look it up, and I couldn't get a definitive answer on what division they'll be in after they shuffled it up for just this year.
Yeah, so the Coyotes are moving to the Central Division, I think is what I read. I thought it was the Pacific Division, but Google is saying West. I don't know. No, you're right. Minnesota is in that. That doesn't make sense, though, because I know there's a Metropolitan. Yeah, I don't know. We got to do more research.
Yeah, because there's a weird division this year that has Montreal and Ottawa. Like all the Canadian teams are almost in the same division, and a lot of them are considered, I think, Western Conference, which in the past, Toronto, Ottawa, all of them have been in the Eastern Conference. So it's different this year just because they had to change things up for their short season.
I like their colors, man.
Yeah.
I have that Kraken hat that I wear all the time, but I love it, man. I just love that blue. I didn't, at first I wasn't crazy about it, but it's really starting to grow on me. I like their jerseys too. I was watching this video last night where they're talking about their jerseys, and I don't know. The whole idea is starting to grow on me. Like I said, initially my whole interest in hockey it just seemed like the first step to getting the Sonics back, but I'm actually getting kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I watched a lot. I actually watched more of the Stanley Cup playoffs last year than I ever have, which is still not a ton, but it's one of those things. Like I like the sport. I don't know what's going on very much.
Mhm.
But now that we'll have a team in it, it's like I'm fully on board to learn the thing and to follow along every night.
Yeah, I want to learn some X's and O's, man, because it's like I'm like you, man. I don't know whether I get like the basic idea of the game, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how an offense is trying to attack a defense or anything like that. Or there's still very basic things I don't understand too. Like how often do the lines switch? You know, like I know there's 3 lines, but how often do they switch? You know, switch it up. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be fun to kind of get an idea going forward. I'll be excited to see what our mascot is. Have we really? Are they doing a? Is it going to be an octopus?
I don't know. You're gonna hate this. I know I probably said this before, but
Sure.
I think it should be the Sasquatch. What did a Sasquatch have to do with the Sonics anyway? So just
But it's the
'cause
Sonics mascot.
but we're gonna get a team back in the building the Sonics played in. Just have it be a Sasquatch, and then he can work both nights. When the Sonics come back, he can just pull double duty and work both nights.
I can't tell if you're serious or not.
I'm very nostalgic with the Squatch from a kid watching the Sonics, and I just want to see it back. So
You're being serious?
I'm being serious. Bring
Oh.
back the Sasquatch.
Yeah, it kind of bugs me. Like, well, I don't know if it bugs me. I don't like how the Mariners mascot is a moose.
Yeah.
Make it a skipper, you know, like make it a pirate.
Yeah. I mean, it has nothing. It has nothing to do with Mariners, but I mean, he's cool as hell too. So let's not
I
throw
don't
him
like the
under
moose,
too much.
honestly. The moose represents everything about the Seattle Mariners that drives me crazy. It's so G-rated. There's nothing edgy about it. The best mascot, I would argue, in all sports is the Philly Fanatic.
Yeah.
He's edgy. Benny the Bull is up there too. I like him. But the Mariner Moose, I don't know. He comes out on his 3-wheeler and he stands. I just don't get it. It's just everything about it. It's just that's what the Mariners are missing, if you ask me. Everything is so G-rated. It's so family-oriented. Have you ever been to you ever been to a Yankees game? You ever been to the East Coast? See baseball
I've
games?
never been to a sporting event outside of Seattle.
It's quite a treat. It's different, man. So when I was a kid, my dad took me over to the East Coast. We went to Fenway and went to Yankee Stadium, and they get after it, man. I mean, this is a long time ago, but I really remember. I've never seen that at a Mariners game.
Baseball's it's a different thing,
It's different here. I mean, a lot of places take it really seriously.
I mean, you could take it seriously, but still, it's a laid back sport when you compare it to freaking hockey guys throwing their gloves down and fighting on the ice as part of the game, or NFL where guys are tackling each other every other play. I mean, it's a different style game. And the Moose, he's kind of like hey, this is a family friendly environment. Bring the kids down, drop $200 on them to play around while you're watching the game. It's a marketing thing.
Yeah, I just don't like the Moose.
I don't necessarily believe all that I just said. I'm just trying to give the Moose a fair shake here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not my favorite mascot. I like Blitz. I think Blitz is fine. I'm with you.
I don't like
I think
the new
Swatch
Blitz.
was great. Yeah, that's right. They switched him up, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to make him look kind of more hip but he kind of lost his mean
That's
look.
like, when the Huskies, okay, so it used to be the live mascot was, I think the dog's name was Spirit, and it was obviously it's Alaskan Malamute, but it used to be a gray one. So was it Harry? Is that what they call the?
Yeah.
It's Harry, right? So Harry was the same color scheme as the actual dog. But when they got, I think it's Dubs, it switched to Dubs. And they changed the fake mat. I don't know. They changed Harry basically to match Dubs. And it looked like a fucking weasel. Like it did not, you know what I mean? Like, God, it looked like it was sick. Like it had just been out of the hospital. And maybe, I don't know. That was a mistake.
We might have a future show segment on Seattle mascots and why they're lacking and how we can improve them.
I think the Huskies one is pretty easy. Just go back to the original Harry.
Yeah.
I do like the black, like the actual mascot more. Like if you're going to ask me, did I like Spirit or Dubs more? I was a bigger fan of Dubs.
I like the, I think it's Spirit. I think I like the older one, but maybe that's just me because it just reminds me of the 90s. And
yeah, 90s were a good time, wasn't it?
I'm nostalgic for the 90s, especially when it's Husky football.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Husky Stadium with the purple end zones, the AstroTurf.
Oh yeah, I always equate Ivers clam chowder bowls with Husky Stadium.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about
Husky Stadium was my first game I ever went to, so that's probably why I'm nostalgic for it. But yeah,
Mine was Safeco.
Safeco, huh?
Yeah, opening day 2000, I guess it was. It was the year after Griffey left.
So yeah, it would have been 2000.
Yeah, I played the Red Sox, I think.
So you never got to go. You never got to go to a game in the Kingdom, did you?
I didn't live here. No, I
Man.
didn't move here until 2002.
Kingdom was crazy. Like, I mean, I don't want to throw shade on what is it, Lumen Field now. It's loud as hell.
Can we talk about that for a second? Sorry
The
to interrupt
the Kingdom was a different thing, and it's just I miss it. But yeah, let's talk about Lumen Field.
Okay, this is not a hot take, but how many times did they switch the name? It went from Seahawks Stadium, Quest Field,
CenturyLink.
to Lumen. That's 4 different names.
Now, again, I don't know this, but Quest, CenturyLink, Lumen, aren't they all the same sort of company rebranding name? Or
I think so. Yeah, but
that's a problem.
my question is, how many other stadiums in any sport has that happened to?
In that time
like the
frame.
whole Lumen Field thing, like they totally tried to hide it. They just sprung us on. Like, what was it, Thursday night game? And oh, by the way, it's now Lumen Field.
Yeah, they literally told us the morning of a Thursday game.
At least
Hey, the
with
name
T-Mobile,
changed.
yeah. At least with T-Mobile Park, it was an event. You know, I mean, hey, we're changing. Safeco Field is coming down. We're taking down the sign. You're going to see a bunch of pink now. Yeah, Lumen Field happened mid-season.
Yeah, that one was really weird.
That I don't know how you like. I don't know. I guess there's probably no good way to do it, but the name clearly means nothing to anyone. I mean, I don't know. I'm still going to call it CenturyLink.
Shit, I still call it Seahawks Stadium.
It's true. Yeah, they should have stuck with that. I mean, I know it's not realistic, but
That's what they should have kept. Yeah, it should have been Seahawks Stadium. It would have been perfect. But I mean, who knows how many millions of dollars they're paid every year just to have the name on the stadium.
I'm going to call. Man, it's going to be hard not to call it Key Arena for me.
I mean, I'm just going to call it Key Arena because I don't want to say Climate Pledge Arena.
I think I'm going to
whatever
call it the
is.
Pledge.
The Pledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of a bottle of spray, like Pledge you spray on the table when you call it the Pledge. So
How many people this year during the pandemic? I was one of these people. I saw someone making fun of people. Like, I want to say, I don't know. I think it was my girlfriend's friend or something. But I didn't realize that Lysol spray wasn't air freshener until 6 months ago.
Really?
All my life, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a disinfectant with a very heavy smell. Yeah, so I mean, you technically could use it for that, but no, that is not the intended purpose.
I know. I just.
See, we go to we talk about Lumen Field, we talk about Climate Pledge, we talk about Lysol. I mean, this is great. This is epic right here.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until this year, but.
Why don't they call it? I'm gonna switch gears on you. But why don't they call it the Root Sports Arena?
You know, the Mariners own Root Sports. I found that in my research. They're the controlling interest. They have 60% ownership of it.
I want to say I knew that, but I totally forgot. So I'm gonna say that's new to me. But
I also learned something else in my research.
Yeah?
This is kind of interesting to me. So, Seattle's obviously not a huge market for. I mean, it is, but it's not New York City. But Root Sports covers us the Seahawks, the Mariners, now the Kraken. Square footage wise, it's a huge footprint because you have parts of Alaska, Oregon, Idaho,
Montana, Western Montana.
Yeah. So it's this huge. So here's my thing. They have got. You told me that the only reason you even pay for cable right now is so you can have Root Sports, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's very few things that I pay for in my Dish network package that I can't find elsewhere. The main one is Root Sports, and I mean, it's it's the Mariners who, as bad as they are, I watch a ton of games throughout the spring and summer.
They've
And
got to get
now-
a streaming package.
Yeah, now hockey's going to be on this one that you can't stream for an first-time team. Like,
I don't
come
have Root
on.
Sports. I haven't even missed watching the Mariners, to be honest with you. I'll watch them if I'm at a friend's house, or I don't know. One year I paid for MLB packages. I lived out of state, so I can watch the Mariners. But
The last 2 or 3 years, I honestly haven't even. I just followed on the radio, followed the highlights, and I haven't even missed it. But you got to think a new franchise coming down. By the way, if you're wondering what we're talking about, the Kraken are now, like, it's been announced that they're going to Root Sports is going to carry their games. You got to think part of that agreement to come to Root Sports is there's got to be a streaming thing. Don't you think the NHL would put their foot down and say, hey, like, figure this shit out? Like,
I mean, only thing I can think of is maybe this is temporary, and they're like, I know, who knows with the way that the economy is, the way that COVID is, they just decided go with somebody local. We'll figure it out later. And maybe the NHL's thinking they're going to air a bunch of the Kraken games, being it's their first season, on like their national broadcasting channels like NBC, or I want to say it's NBC Sports Network, but I just read that NBC Sports Network is going away and NHL is going to USA, I believe. So maybe there's something there, but yeah, like there's no way to stream games for an exhibition team, not an exhibition team. The hell do you call it? Expansion team. Like, that just baffles me.
that is the most Mariners / baseball thing ever, though. You know what I mean? Not being able to stream the games. They fuck everything up.
Yep.
They do. They fuck everything up. The Mariners, people wonder why. I don't know. It's just such a basic fucking thing. Like, you want to be able to stream the games. Put it on YouTube TV. You know what I mean?
It's like basically just telling anybody who is interested in the Kraken that doesn't live.
It's
in
the
Root
Pac-12
Sports.
network thing with Direct. I mean, it's insane.
It's telling anybody who's not in the footprint of Root Sports is like, we don't care about you being able to watch the game.
Well, especially with baseball, though. I mean, everyone's bitching about baseball numbers being down. And then it's just basic shit like that. Can you imagine if you couldn't stream the Seahawks games?
No, I'd go fucking
The
crazy.
town would be on fire.
Yeah. Yep.
But no one gives a fuck about baseball because you've been conditioned over the last decade to not give a fuck.
I think about like Mike Trout. This is what I was thinking about last night. I think Mike Trout's the best baseball player there is right now, right?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Right? Okay. Who do you think he's like, who
In terms of fame and like household value or name value, whatever. Name recognition is what I'm trying to say. Compare him to,
let's say, an NFL player.
like, who do you think is more well known? Mike Trout or let's say
Mahomes.
Matthew Stafford?
Okay.
Who's more well known? I think Stafford is.
I think you could probably go down the list of the top 25 NFL players, and they'd be more well known than the top MLB player.
Oh, I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
Jared Goff or Mike Trout? I bet Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It just baseball seems to have this thing where it's like, I feel like baseball just continually gives the middle finger to their fans, and they expect to keep expanding, and it's finally biting them in the ass.
There's no way that happens with hockey, though. I can't imagine there's like enough idiots in the room to say like, yeah, we'll just go put the brand new expansion team on Root Sports with no streaming deal.
Yeah, there's got to be something else at play.
I don't know what I would do because I want to watch, but like I'm not about to go get a dish package or something just so I can watch hockey.
It's fucking expensive. Trust me.
Root Sports actually has an app.
But I could only find it on like the App Store on my phone. And it's like the shittiest app you could ever imagine. It says it had 1 out of 5 stars. It said that you could stream sports and all that stuff. So I tried to sign on with my mom's Dish account, and it wouldn't let you sign on with Dish. Like there was no option. And
Wow.
It's just like, yeah, you could tell it hadn't been updated in a really long time, which is just crazy, man. I don't know.
So I want to just be clear. When a game is on Root Sports, the only way you can watch it is if you have a cable or dish or satellite package that has that. There's no other way to watch it, right?
That's my understanding.
That's
If I'm
just
missing something, please let me know, because I don't think you can find it anywhere else. I don't think you can find it on YouTube TV or Hulu's like nothing. I don't think it exists anywhere else.
it's just insane.
But isn't that the most Mariners thing ever?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's like license. Well, I don't know. I mean, how does football do it? You can watch football on Hulu TV, can't you? Like you can watch your local Fox affiliate.
See, that's the thing. When I first heard about this, the other option was if you're not going to have your own broadcasting network, why not just partner with Amazon Prime like NFL does and have games on there?
That's a good point. I think I feel like maybe you told me this, but you got to think Amazon being such part of the arena, there's got to be a streaming deal in the works there, right?
I would hope so, because I mean it's all this money being thrown into this team coming here. Don't get me
You're
wrong.
not able to stream them.
I'm excited for the team. I've wanted hockey for a long time, but like
You've been a hockey fan
like,
your whole life, yeah.
you can't drop the ball on how to watch them.
Drop the puck, you might say.
Good point.
A very good point. I do have an announcement. Is that there's a couple slang terms I think we need to make sure we're using correctly.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to refer to it as hockey. I'm going to refer to it as ice hockey from now on.
Oh, before you go any farther, I know you got other terms here, but I got to put this out there. I got a friend who lives in Alberta, Canada, and he will fucking go crazy when he hears you say ice hockey.
Oh, really?
When you say ice hockey, because his explanation is, well, who the hell's gonna fucking mistake ice hockey and fucking playing on the grass? You don't need to say ice hockey. It's just hockey. So I love that you said that.
I'm gonna call it ice hockey.
I'm purposely gonna too.
Yeah, it just sounded. I don't know. It seems cooler. The other thing is they're sweaters. They're not jerseys.
Okay. I've not heard that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty. Yeah, so sweaters and ice hockey. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had a good week being a hockey fan.
I'm ready.
So I grew up in Anchorage, and there was like a semi-pro team called the Anchorage Aces, then they turned to the Alaska Aces. And my dad used to take me all the time, just because it was the only sports in town, right? I mean, there's a college, like a D2 college, and I used to hate going to those games. Like I just found it so boring. But I was really young too. But I'm with you, man. There's been a couple times where I've like kind of caught like, a few games of the playoffs, or maybe I feel like in like 2012 I got kind of into it, and I found it exciting. But I think just my handicap with it is I've just never really understood like the strategy of it or what they're doing. So I think kind of once we get going and once we learn some names and can kind of figure a thing or two out, then maybe we'll have a better understanding of everything. So
I've only ever been to one hockey game. There used to be a semi-pro team in Tacoma, the Tacoma Sabercats, that played at the Tacoma Dome. And we would get, like in elementary school, they'd hand out like the free tickets every year at the beginning of the school year.
And they used to do that with the Aqua Sox,
Yeah, finally one year I got my dad to take me to one of the games. And I don't remember a ton of it, but I just remember it being fun and, being cool. So like, I'm excited, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it will be fun. It's supposed to be expensive.
It gives us something, between.
We need winter sports.
Yeah, between football and baseball, there's nothing in this town without the Sonics, and give us a winter sport. So
yeah, Sonics episode coming at you guys soon, by the way.
Definitely, we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah,
but
we gotta talk about the trade, man.
Yeah, we want to pivot to the Seahawks, but before we get to the Seahawks, there was a trade that was announced tonight, right before we started doing this, and we both have different opinions on this trade too. Imagine that. So, but Jared Goff is going to Detroit, along with three picks, 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, and Matthew Stafford's going back to LA, to the Rams.
Right.
And
the first 3 first rounds.
So it's 3 picks. 2 of them are first rounders, and the third rounder is the only one that's in this upcoming draft.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
have a take on that alone, by the way.
the Rams don't have a first round pick this year, so
I don't think it matters, man. Like, here's my thing with the whole Rams. They haven't had a first round pick since I think it's 2017 or 16, and I don't think it fucking matters. Like, it hasn't.
Yep.
I don't think it's mattered to them. They haven't really fallen off.
The only
They've reloaded
time
every year. I mean, they haven't been dynasty, but I don't think they're a first round pick away from a Super Bowl.
The only time that it starts to matter is when you run into salary cap problems, because that's your biggest influx of talent is the draft. But I mean, they kind of just took care of their big salary cap problem by
Yeah.
getting rid of Goff. So
Yeah, totally.
that could be the trade-off you make. You know, you give up picks for high-end talent, don't have to pay him as much. I mean, it's, you know, it'll be interesting. But my whole thing on it is, I just don't think Stafford's that big of an improvement over Goff.
I think it is. And I understand why Stafford always gets shit on, man. Like, that guy is. I mean, he's in fucking Detroit. Detroit has never done in my entire lifetime. Detroit has done nothing. And he's never had a running game. He has had receivers, but I feel like his numbers have been fine. I mean, has he put up 50 touchdowns every year? No, but I don't understand why that guy gets shit on. What is wrong with Matthew Stafford?
I mean,
People who are telling me he's a slight upgrade over Jared Goff. The same Jared Goff, those same people will tell you Jared Goff is the worst quarterback of all time. He's, you know, Stafford is not that, man. Like, Stafford, you don't want to fuck around with that guy, man.
I mean, Stafford, to me, though, he's got this pedigree of being a great come from behind fourth quarter quarterback. But I mean, I'm not a Lions fan by far, but I watch Red Zone, so I'm pretty qualified to talk about every team in the NFL.
Of course.
You see the Lions come back a lot because Matthew Stafford throws fucking interceptions in the first half and they get behind. And then he has this ability to come back. But, like, not every game is that way, but a lot of his comebacks are self-inflicted.
I don't think that dude has ever had, like, a team around him. Like, think of a year they had a running game.
I mean, he had one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game for like 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean,
But I mean, what did they have outside of that?
yeah, that's my point. Has
He
he ever
had
had
like a defense.
Also, I mean, it's not like he's ever had like an offensive guru behind him. He's never been with a McVay.
Yeah. How long does he have? He's, I
Here's
believe,
the fucking crazy part. Guess how old that
32?
dude is? Yeah.
32? Yeah.
I would have said that dude was like 35, 36. Seems like he's been around forever.
Yeah. So if he's 32 and he's on the track, you know, that we're seeing the quarterbacks play to their late 30s, you know, I mean, they could get 5 good years out of him and have a shot. But I don't know.
It clears their salary cap up a lot.
So Goff has that huge contract, and you can't really do anything with him. Like, you can't cut him until after, I think it's 2022, because you just take on so much dead money. Stafford, they could cut after this upcoming season and only take on like $6 million in dead money.
Yeah, because I think his guaranteed money is just about done on. He has a 2-year, like $40 million remaining on his contract.
They can't cut him this year, but like, if it didn't go well, they're not in that purgatory anymore with Jared Goff. I mean, it's a much better contract.
And the Rams are they're basically, it's kind of a go for it move because they're taking on $22 million in dead money this year for Goff's contract. But that's negated because they're getting a quarterback. They're getting a quarterback to replace him.
So they're taking on dead money from Goff?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact terminology.
So even though they're trading him instead of cutting him?
Yeah, even if you trade him, you still have dead money, and I believe it's based off bonus money that is to be paid, like signing bonus money that would have been paid out over the life of the contract.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean,
it
obviously,
counts against the salary cap?
Yeah, obviously the signing bonus is paid when they sign, but it's prorated based on how long the contract is as part of a cap hit. So, 4-year deal, and there's a $20 million signing bonus, $5 million per each one of those 4 years as part of the cap hit.
Okay.
And I think that's what factors into the dead money, but I mean, I'm not exactly sure on that. But I did see, yeah, they're taking on $22 million in dead cap for this year for Goff's contract.
I don't know, man. I think when they made that Ramsey trade, everyone just kind of assumed like you have no picks, you're done. But I don't think it's mattered. You still have assets you could flip too. It's not like they're in hell. They have really good players.
I mean, I guess the flip side of it is look at what the Rams did this year. They were 10-6. They went to the divisional round of the playoffs. How different is their season this year if they had Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, I think they might have been a little bit better. They might have won one or two more games.
Do you think they're a quarterback away from the Super Bowl?
I think they're one of the teams that is – I mean, I don't know if they're exactly a quarterback away, but I think of the teams that are in that category, they're right up there because they have talent everywhere else.
Would you rather seen Yeah, I mean, I guess you're not afraid of Stafford, so maybe you're not the person to ask this question to, but would you have rather seen him go to the Rams or the Niners?
Ooh, I would rather them see him go to the Niners than the Rams.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's your worry level with the Rams going into the season?
You know,
picture Stafford running that offense for some reason is my only thing. I have a higher opinion of Stafford than you do, but it's tough for me to see him. I don't know why. Not like I watch a ton of Lions games, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, you get very used to that Rams offense, and it's hard for me to picture Stafford doing that same thing.
Yeah, and Stafford's not as mobile as Goff. I mean, Goff wasn't, he's not going to win any being the best athlete competitions, but I mean, Stafford's not running bootlegs in a lot of the offense that Sean McVay draws up.
Right.
That's going to challenge Stafford too. So we'll see how that meshes.
Sure.
But I mean, he's got the arm talent. He's definitely got the arm talent. It's just, is he going to fit that system? And I'm not so sure.
So, I mean, part of that trade, the reason you're willing to give up 2 firsts and a third is because you get rid of the Goff's contract, right? I mean, they basically, what do you think they gave? An extra? Don't you agree? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, I was reading a little bit
a few years ago with the Osweiler.
Exactly. I was reading a little bit about it, and I was kind of thinking that the thinking was kind of that the 3rd round pick was what was put in there for the contract, taking on the money.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what does Watson get on? What's his trade value? I mean, it's got to be your entire draft plus the next 4 first rounders.
I mean, if you're being real, you're Houston. I mean, Houston's done a lot of dumb shit, and I think maybe even hiring their new head coach wasn't the smartest move. But like, you got to at least ask for first, second, third, first, second, third, first, second, third, 3 years in a row, right? Because I mean,
I would think so.
Watson's early, he's mid-20s, like he's an elite quarterback. Like you got to get at least 4 or 5 really high picks for him, and then some too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that. Oh man, I do not want to see him come to our division.
I don't either. And there's one team left that he would go to that would just be a fucking nightmare.
I think maybe you're starting to see a swing, and maybe this is just me being a prisoner of the moment, but you see the Rams who clearly, I mean, one of 2 things is happening with the Rams. Either they just they're struggling to keep their heads above water in terms of salary cap space and draft picks, or they've decided that they just don't give a fuck about the draft picks, and that whatever value they get back is more valuable or equal to whatever they would get in the first round to pick 20 to whatever. And I wonder if maybe you saw a little bit about that same thing with the Jamal Adams trade, and maybe if you're going to start seeing things go that way a little bit.
I think you've seen it more too. Like It feels like in the last 5 to 7 years or so, maybe even 10 years, that draft picks have been and high draft picks have been traded a lot more in the NFL than they used to be. And like you can draft and get somebody on a rookie friendly deal, but it's not known if they're going to pan out. You can use that pick and get a proven talent like a Stephon Diggs, like that's another one of those deals that, Buffalo could have easily held on to that pick and drafted one of the litany of big receivers that came out last year, but they went for Diggs, a proven commodity, and it seemed to work out.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get in the draft. That's a very good point. What's Garoppolo's contract look like? How much? He's got to be.
I don't know.
I want to say his cap hit is like 20 something million, but to cut him outright, they only have to eat like 2 to 4 million. So it's like very advantageous for them to cut him if they don't think he's the guy. And I just do not see him back as a Niner next year.
Yeah, I mean, other than Stafford, though, I mean, Watson, obviously. What is there besides him?
I mean, there's a draft too. There's going to be other guys that move. I would hate to see this, but there's an outside shot that Dak Prescott could get moved, and imagine him going to San Francisco.
That's a name I forgot about until right now.
Like, just name any decent quarterback out there, and it would be a nightmare going to San Francisco. Because I think you asked if the Rams were a quarterback away. I would put San Francisco ahead of them on the list of being a quarterback away.
I think I would agree with you on that, actually. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
I mean, they went to that Super Bowl with Garoppolo. I mean, he wasn't lights out. He played all right. But, I mean, they were a fourth quarter defensive collapse away from winning a Super Bowl with an average quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow. I don't know. I think you're going to have to watch out for the Rams next year. I think that's a big move on their part. I don't know. I know a lot of people, like I said, people shit on Stafford, but I think that's a decent move on their end, and we'll see what happens. But, yeah, kind of good to get some, I don't know, keep us going midweek, get a little trade news. And I'm glad we don't have to sit around all offseason wondering where the hell Stafford's going to go, and that's all we're going to talk about is Stafford and Watson. And now let's just focus on Watson, see what happens.
Yeah, and I want to be done with all these freaking talented players in the NFL coming to our division. Like, what is this bullshit? Like, yeah, we saw Jalen Ramsey come here, then we saw DeAndre Hopkins. The Niners got Dee Ford from the Chiefs. Like, I mean, can teams just stop sending talent to our division rivals? That would really help out.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
I mean, it's like they don't give a shit about us or something.
We should try asking.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm asking, but I guess I should do it nicer.
Yeah, we'll send this podcast out to John Lynch and
we'll send it to John Lynch. What's the guys down in Arizona? Because Arizona doesn't need to add any more talent too. I feel like they're 1 or 2 players away from being a scary team. So just stop it. That's what I have to say.
I'm not sold on Arizona yet.
Yeah.
No.
Arizona's so like that. What is it? The air raid offense.
Right.
It's like I think we're kind of jaded from watching that at WSU, where they would look really good certain weeks, and then they'd run up against teams where they just look like they don't know what the hell they're doing. So I always got a viewpoint of that offense, and I think it's just kind of it's a paper tiger,
Paper tiger. Kingsbury's got to make the playoffs, I think, or he's gone. Obviously, right?
I mean, with the talent they have on offense, you would think so.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about the NFC West, man. It's always stuff happening.
Yeah, you're going to win that division. You're definitely going to earn it.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man.
Let me ask you a question, or not a question, but let me throw this to you.
Okay.
I'm just going to say one thing, and then you can talk about it, okay?
Okay.
We hired Russell's guy.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think that's a bad thing, man. It's just not. They're not simpatico, man. Like, if you want to run the ball, run the ball.
Yeah,
right?
They talked
Doesn't it
about
seem like a total changing gears what we heard from Pete Carroll after the offseason? Like, hey, we got to run the football.
Exactly. He talked about we want to run the ball, we want to go back and do this, and it was kind of basically it was a foregone conclusion that his quarterback didn't agree with that. And they go and they hire an offensive coordinator that they say his quarterback wanted.
It just seems like they are just doing the same shit where it's going to be 2 opposing forces. You're going to have one guy who wants to do one. And I don't know. I mean, this kind of goes in contrast to what I said earlier in the week. But to me, when I think Russ's guy, I don't think it's like a hot take that seems like there was friction between everyone at the end of the year, right?
No.
And when I hear Russ's guy, like just that in a vacuum makes me feel like oh fuck, like we're gonna be doing this whole dance again this year where it's like, are we running the ball? Are we letting? You cannot pay Russ $35 million to be a game manager.
No, I agree. I agree
can't.
completely. Yeah.
It's insane. I know you saw this. I know we talked about this earlier, but what was the number? No team has ever won a Super Bowl with 13.5 million or more.
Yeah,
Right,
no team has ever won a Super Bowl with 13.5% or more of their cap space.
I think
paying
there's
their
something
quarterback.
to that, man. I don't think that's an accident.
Just wait, though. I mean,
I don't.
Mahomes' new deal will kick in.
You want to
and
crown
that
his
will
ass,
change.
then crown his ass.
I mean,
Like
if we're-
Mahomes has won one Super Bowl and he's back in another. Let's see what happens next week before we go straight. I get it, dude. Like, I know Mahomes is really good, but like everyone has crowned him as the greatest already. He's won once. Like, yeah, I'm impressed. Like, he's looked really fucking good.
I mean,
I think the
like,
history. Go ahead.
who was the last quarterback to go to back-to-back Super Bowls? And it's not his second and third year in the league, but it's his second and third year full-time starter. So who was the last quarterback to do that?
Russell Wilson.
Obviously. But, I mean, we touched on this the first episode, and we disagree on Russ being Russ then and how they got to the
He
Super
was
Bowl.
not Russ then.
You can't sit there and look at this Chiefs team and tell me Mahomes is not the reason they're in the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, you
agree
take
with
him off
but I
that
just
team.
think once I'm with you, but like the salary cap is an issue, man. Like, you've got to have a team around. Look at Peyton Manning. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says, man. Like Peyton Manning, I know Tom Brady is Tom Brady and he's the GOAT, but Peyton Manning is the best like pure passer I ever saw, man. That guy, he was doing things that people couldn't do. And what do you have? One ring?
Yeah.
2 rings.
You got 2, 1, yeah.
What was
One
he?
in
2 and 2
Indy.
or 2 and 3 in the Super Bowl? It doesn't matter.
He was 2 and 1.
Dan Marino.
Yeah.
You got to have the it factor, man. There's got to be things around you. A great quarterback just doesn't go, I don't think Tom Brady is the best pure passer of all time. Do you?
No, Tom Brady is, to me, he's the best quarterback of all time, just overall.
I agree with
Every
you on that.
attribute, every all. But best arm talent, pure passer, yeah, he's probably like maybe 5th on the list.
I think that's a fair point.
But I just, I always come back to it. Like, I grew up in the 90s watching Seahawks teams wishing to have a competent quarterback. And, like, we can agree that Russell is competent. Russell is above average. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The grass might not be greener on the other side with all these draft picks or cap space.
You've heard me say this, but it's about reallocation of the assets. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, Russ is Russ, but I think there's something to that number. No quarterback win the Super Bowl with over 13 point, whatever the number is, percent of the cap. You got to have people around him. You just do.
Yeah.
Those team-friendly deals, I mean, think about it. Who would you rather have right now? Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence?
I'm going to say Deshaun Watson.
It's at least a conversation, though, right?
Yeah.
A totally unproven commodity in Trevor Lawrence. Completely. Yep. And the reason is because of the contract. Those rookie deals are just, man, like, you got to make hay when there's hay to be made with those things, man. And that's what the Seahawks did with Russ. I mean, they should have won the second one, but they didn't. And now they're stuck paying that guy. I mean, he's worth it, but I don't know. We haven't seen a dynasty built that way yet.
I think we're kind of seeing one built that way, but
I don't think you can say that.
It's not there yet.
No, he's won one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Second Super Bowl hasn't even been played yet.
I don't want to, I guarantee you.
My God, dude.
I guarantee you the Chiefs beat the Bucks. And I don't even know it's going to be a close game.
I'm not even like ready to say okay. My frustration is not like, I don't know that I'm willing to take that bet. Okay, just slow down a little bit. My frustration is that everyone is ready to crown Mahomes as the greatest thing of all time. He's not there yet, man. Like, he looks awesome. He's the best quarterback of the last 3-4 seasons.
And
but he's not the great one.
I'll clarify, and I mean, I'm not crowning him the great one, but I'm just this whole idea that paying your quarterback and having a huge quarterback number is a bad thing just doesn't fully add up to
But
me.
we don't
right?
even know that with Mahomes yet. That's what's killing me. Is like Mahomes' new contract hasn't even kicked in yet.
Yeah. But I mean, I just what could possibly happen for him to fall flat on his face? Like,
I'm
yeah,
not saying like I don't think he's gonna fall flat on his face. My point is that when that salary cap kicks in, you're gonna have to get rid of some guys. Maybe Tyreek Hill isn't around. Maybe it's Hardman. Maybe they can't get him off his rookie deal. There's gonna be domino effect to that thing. Do I think I don't think Mahomes is gonna suddenly get figured out and start playing like garbage. That looks like a Hall of Famer. My issue is the roster around him.
yeah. But I mean,
What happens when Andy Reid leaves?
it goes back to
That's
that
an
thing.
interesting conversation, by the way. Go ahead.
It goes
Sorry.
back to that Peyton Manning thing, though, is those Colts teams that Peyton Manning took to the playoffs so many years, like they were shit teams outside of Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but you can see that with a competent, once in a lifetime quarterback, you can still be there knocking on the door every year.
I mean,
But I
we've
guess
seen that here in Seattle, though.
I guess that's the question: is knocking on the door good enough, or should we be expecting more? So it comes back to that.
I go back and forth in my own world too. That's the whole question of the offseason, isn't it, for the Seahawks?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I go back and forth on it too. Like, yeah, we got the talent, but I also just like I've wished to be rooting for a team that made the playoffs 9 out of the last 11 years,
Right.
my whole life. And I have that, and now I'm greedy and want more. But that's what being a sports fan is, right? I mean, you want your team to win.
I expect excellence.
Yeah, that's commitment to excellence.
I mean, you could be a Sonics fan. I don't even have a team to root for anymore.
Oh, we have a team to root against, though. That's for sure.
There was a thing that was really good on Twitter the other day. It said, you're a Sonics fan when, and then you had to fill in the blank. And my thing is I've rooted for LeBron since the Sonics left. So it's like,
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. You're a Sonics fan when you're rooting for a player instead of a team.
Yeah.
Well,
Or when you don't care who wins as long as it's not Oklahoma City.
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff, man.
How do you feel about people that rooted for the Sonics but now root for the Trailblazers because the Sonics aren't there anymore?
I got no beef with it, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's like if the Seahawks were to leave, it's like I'm going to root for the 49ers because they're the closest team to me. I'm just like, no, I can't root for the rival. What do you do when the Sonics come back? Do you just leave your Blazers and go right back to Seattle?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility.
I'm just trying to rile up anybody out there that, might be a Blazers fan, bandwagoner, Russell Wilson owns part of the team after all, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I've rooted for the Blazers, man. That team with Brandon Roy. I mean, now it's Dame, but what'd you do then? You're a Huskies fan.
I mean, I wasn't like a Trailblazers fan. Like if they were playing someone, okay, hey, it'd be cool to see them win, but it wasn't like I'm a Trailblazers fan now,
Well, that's the difference, though. I mean, with the Thunder, I actively root for them to lose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna have to get a Sonics episode in here soon.
We do. Maybe that should be what we talk about next time. Get a Sonics episode, get a Mariners episode, put them all together.
I'm not gonna mess with the Sonics and the Mariners. That's gonna be too many It's too much interference, man.
I mean, it should just be all the heartbreak in one episode, right? We'll just talk about the Marshawn Lynch should have ran the ball at the same time.
That's a good point. I feel hope and positivity regarding the Sonics for the first time in I don't know, whatever the year with the Kings was, 2013.
Yeah.
It seems like we're getting close. I mean, there's a lot of rumblings about expansion. The stadium's there. You got statements from, Lewicki. And so it's going to be, man, I'm feeling good about the Sonics. I just feel feel something brewing with it. So
that's what's cool about the Sonics thing is all those other times there was stadium, promise, teams maybe having trouble where they are. This is the first time I think in the whole process where the NBA commissioners actually said, yeah, we're looking at doing it.
Yeah.
They've always said, no, we're not doing it. We're not expanding.
Right.
They've actually said it, and it's like, I don't see how the NBA can expand, and Seattle's not number one on the list for a team.
That'd almost be a bigger insult than the team leaving initially, is if they
Yeah.
expanded and it wasn't to Seattle.
Yeah, like it's got to be Seattle.
It's got to start in Seattle. Yeah.
Yep.
I think people know that though. I don't worry about it too much. I think if expansion happens, it's to Seattle.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Yep, they would lose a ton if they didn't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So yeah, I think I think we covered a shit ton tonight, right?
Thanks for listening, guys. It's episode 3 in the books.
Yeah. See you in another week.
That's
Maybe.
right. Follow us on Twitter, Grandstands Pod, at Levi Jeans 22, at 12th Man Ryan, YouTube.
Yep. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is our second one we've done now with actual video, so you can see our 2 ugly mugs if you choose to. So
Yeah, give us feedback too. Where are we lacking? What would you like to hear? What do we need to prove upon?
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Right on.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks.